Upon discovering a sick hedgehog, a man chose to offer aid to the small creature, unwittingly setting off a series of events through his selfless actions. David had been a lifelong animal enthusiast, residing in a cozy apartment on the fringes of his town, relishing the best of both urban and rural living. David used to take his dog on extended walks every morning and afternoon until the day his faithful companion passed away due to old age. This loss proved to be particularly challenging for David, given his reserved and solitary nature. Living alone, he found solace in the company of animals and preferred their companionship over that of other humans. Following the loss of his dog, David persisted with his routine of taking walks in the morning and afternoon to help cope with his grief. With the absence of his pet, he felt a sense of liberation in not having to adhere to any particular route or schedule. Without needing to consider his dog's comfort or habits, he resolved to explore new paths and become even more acquainted with his surroundings. It was one such day when David found a new local park that he had not noticed before. It was there that he saw what looked like a cluster of burrs, partially obscured by some brush. Curious, David went to investigate. As he got close, the clump of burrs hissed quietly at him. He stooped down to examine it more closely and realized he was looking at a real-life hedgehog. After a few moments, David understood why he had not realized the hedgehog was an animal until he got very close. It was because the poor creature was weak and struggled to move even an inch. The animal was injured or sick in some way. It tagged at David's heartstrings to see yet another animal fight for its life. He would not be able to stand it if he walked away without helping the hedgehog. So for the next several minutes, David carefully figured out how to pick it up without getting poked or bitten. When he finally lifted the animal from the ground, he spoke aloud and asked what the hedgehog's name was. It was mostly a joke, but he also knew that voices can be calming to animals in pain. In a near cartoonish manner, a couple of the hedgehog's quills stood up. David smiled and thought it was cute that the animal seemed to hear his question and respond. He decided to give it an affectionate nickname and called the hedgehog Spike. With the formal introductions out of the way, David carried Spike all the way home. After what felt like an eternity, he got to his vehicle and made a beeline towards the nearest animal clinic. As David and Spike entered the building, they got some strange looks. It was not every day a man walked in with a wild hedgehog cradled in his hands. Luckily, because of the attention Spike was drawing, a veterinarian on her lunch break came to the lobby to see what was going on. When David explained the situation, she very generous offered to give Spike a look during her remaining break time. The vet took Spike to her office and examined it. She knew almost instantly that the hedgehog was ill and in need of emergency surgery. So the next day, David returned to the animal clinic 2 hours before they opened, and the vet did the procedure for them pro bono. After the surgery was done, Spike was exhausted and slept for a long time. David was about to leave thinking he had done his duty, and now he could leave Spike in professional care. The vet stopped him on his way out, though, to clarify that she did not have the proper resources to house the tiny creature. Spike would not survive being immediately released back into the wild. For those reasons, David found himself buying a cage, food, and all the necessities needed for a hedgehog guest. Spike temporarily moved into David's apartment. Feeling sentimental, he decided to bring Spike out with him on his walks like he'd done with his beloved dog, but only once a week. Each Friday they shared this experience together. David enjoyed the companionship, as well as the knowledge that exposing Spike to its natural habitat assisted in its recovery. After a few weeks, people all around the area began to recognize David and referred to him as the king of the hedgehogs. It was this reputation that led to not just one, but 2 people approaching David with their hedgehog-related queries. He felt strange about this because he was no expert on the subject. He'd simply been in the right place at the right time when he had safe Spike. However, hearing that did little to assuage the 2 well-meaning people from asking for David's help. The first time he thought a prank was being pulled, a teenager came up to him and said that they had found another injured hedgehog. The teen brought David to a small stretch of land near the edge of the city. As it turned out, the teenager was not pranking David at all. There really was an unwell hedgehog where the teen had indicated. David knew what to do. He gave the new friend a nickname, Prickles. Then he brought Prickles back to his favorite veterinarian. Nobody at the clinic could believe their eyes when they saw David walking cradling a different hedgehog. They had not forgotten the first time that it happened. Only weeks before, when the vet heard that David was back, she rushed out to the waiting area to make sure Spike's health hadn't declined again. When she realized what was going on, she told David to do just as they had done the last time. So the next morning, Jerome brought Prickles to the vet to be treated. He then went out and got a second set of hedgehog accommodations. Everything went smoothly that day. David set Pickles up at his apartment and then he resumed his normal life. Not long after, Jerome encountered a second person who claimed to have found a young abandoned hedgehog. Once again, they were adamantly serious, and so David followed them out past the city. He was blown away when he saw the teeny baby hedgehog in person. In such a short time, David went from never seeing a hedgehog in person to saving the lives of 3 of them. He knew exactly what to do this time, and he called the vet to ask if he could come by the next morning with yet another hedgehog in need of help. She laughed over the phone, but agreed to the plan for the 3rd time. Things went well, and the newest hedgehog moved in with David, Spike, and Prickles. This one was a female, and David decided to call her Madame Pointy. David stayed in contact with the vet, who had also become invested in the well-being of these animals. After months of recuperation, all 3 hedgehogs were healthy and ready to be released back into the wild. It was not easy for David to say goodbye to Spike, Prickles, and Madame Pointy. He felt like he was reliving his dog's passing. For that reason, the vet accompanied David the day he was freeing the animals. The humans opened the cages together, trying to let the hedgehogs go all at the same time. Both to David and the vet smiled when they quickly scurried away. After a few seconds, they were obscured in the bushes, a common hangout spot for hedgehogs. All 3 were home and safe back in their natural environment. In the following moments, something truly wonderful happened for David. It was so beautiful that both his and the vet's eyes welled up with tears. After the hedgehogs disappeared, David led out alongside. He had never intended to house the animals, and despite that, he had spent a good deal of his time and money caring for them. The vet was intimately familiar with the mixed feelings that arise when an animal is released back into the wild. There was happiness because that was the best thing for the animal. But there was also sadness in saying goodbye to someone you'd nursed back to health. It was then that the vet had a light bulb moment. Recalling that some of her previous clients were seeking a new home for their senior dog due to their inability to provide proper care, the veterinarian inquired if David might consider taking in the animal. Upon hearing the family's predicament, David eagerly embraced the opportunity to adopt a new furry companion. David's face was alight with joy as he embarked on his new mission of caring for his new animal companion, who quickly became his faithful walking partner. From that day forward, he had a beloved friend to accompany him on his daily strolls. Such a heartwarming tale. What are your thoughts on David's compassionate actions? Would you be willing to take in and care for 3 hedgehogs as they recover their health and vitality? Share your opinions in the comments section below. I hope you liked this story. Please share and subscribe to our channel. Thank you.